Morning.
Yeah, it was.
Hi everyone, I'm Zada. Today I want to introduce something very simple, very human, what my Tibetan Buddhist teacher calls innate wisdom. And it might sound philosophical or lofty, but actually we all have it. It's that wisdom that shows up in ordinary life, the kind that when something suddenly clicks and you think, oh, that's what's really going on. It's not about being academically clever or having the right answers all the time. It's actually just about seeing what's happening without the extra stories and perspectives and assumptions on top. For example, there's natural difficulty in life, stress, conflict, illness, aging, death. But then there's the extra layer that we add on top, like why is it happening to me? I failed, or this is never going to change. The innate wisdom doesn't remove life challenges, but it does help us to stop creating that extra layer of suffering on top of what's already there. I saw this very recently in an ordinary moment. I was meeting a supplier at a cafe. She had driven about an hour with two young children in the pouring rain, and it was really windy and cold. And when she arrived, she was clearly very flustered, and the kids were very energetic. They were noisy, restless, and just running about, exploring what was in the cafe. And my supplier, a young mum, she kept apologising, not just to me, but to everyone else in the cafe, like all the other patrons. And at first I thought, oh, she must be so embarrassed. She probably thinks that she hasn't taught her kids right to behave politely. And then I noticed something else. I noticed that actually it was my projection, shaped by my past as a young mother, worrying about what others thought of me and my parenting. And in that moment, there was this quiet clarity where, I realized it wasn't the kids that were the problem. The suffering was really about the story about what their behavior meant. And that small shift, seeing the story that I was overlaying on top of it, seeing that, that was my overlay, that is the wisdom. And interestingly, science points to something very similar. Research on the brain's default mode network shows that when the mind is busy replaying the me stories, the self-judgment, the worrying, the rumination, then our suffering increases. And practices that support awareness and insight help quiet this pattern, not by suppressing the thoughts, but purely by seeing them as thoughts, not facts. From this perspective, wisdom isn't believing something new. It's recognizing that when our brain, our default mode network, is filling in the gaps, and then gently coming back to what is here, which is, is patience and clear seeing underneath all of that. So this innate wisdom, it's not lofty, it's not dramatic. It often shows up as a softening, an undoing, less assumptions, less tightness, and more space. So let's end with a short invitation. Let's take one breath. Notice what happens when your body notices something that makes sense. Like when you realize, oh, that's what's going on. Often there's a small release or easing. And that sense of ease no matter how subtle. That's what we mean by innate wisdom. It's not something to chase, but something to recognize again and again in short moments woven into our daily life. My name is Zada. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope it's been helpful.